1:15, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Niranjan Abesundara. The President hopes more countries will be inspired by Sri Lanka's bold approach to organic agriculture. The Prime Minister inaugurated the Development of 100 Cities program today from Hiripitiya town in the Kurunegala district. The Media Minister says Sri Lanka paid off $1 billion bond debt before the deadline. A discussion will be held today regarding the salary anomalies of teachers. Another post-mortem will be conducted tomorrow on the girl who died mysteriously at Richard Badrin's house. Another 1.6 million Sinopharm vaccines arrive in the country. In world news, U.S. combat forces to leave Iraq by the end of year. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa expressed the hope that more countries will be inspired by Sri Lanka's bold approach to sustainably transform its agricultural system to organic agriculture in order to ensure food security and nutrition for the future generations. The President made the remarks addressing the virtual session on the pre-summit of the UN Food Systems Summit yesterday. In partnership with the government of Italy, the pre-summit takes place in Rome from 26th to 28th of this month. Leaders from a number of countries are taking part in the 3-day summit, which is chaired by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. The conference will discuss the impact of food systems on achieving the desired sustainable development goals by 2030. Representatives from a wide range of fields, including young people, farmers, indigenous people, civil society activists and researchers, are joining the conference with a new approach. The right to food is a fundamental human right, the President said, and added the thought, though the governments act individually to safeguard this right for their people, they must broaden their understanding of complexity of the global food system. Sri Lanka is inherent with agriculture deeply entwined with long-lasting, ancient and yet highly advanced irrigation system. Therefore, sustainable organic agriculture is not new to this country. The President said measures will be taken to revitalize historic practices with new scientific advances and management techniques. Although mankind is socially, politically and economically diverse, challenges they face are universal. During the summit, the President Rajapaksa said that these challenges could not be faced alone and that collective action was needed to overcome them. Heads of state who addressed the conference yesterday focused on food security, mitigation of climate change, strengthening of environmental protection and the prevention of biodiversity loss. The Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa will launch the 100 Cities program for the beautification and development of 100 cities today from Hiripitiya town to the Kurunegala district. The government has allocated 2 billion rupees for 100 cities at a cost of 20 million rupees per city for the beautification and urban development of the cities that have not been developed in the country for a long time. The government will convert the identified cities into public-friendly and beautiful cities by taking necessary steps according to a proper plan. Urban Authority is implementing these 100 cities development projects throughout the country on the instructions of the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa in his capacity as the Minister of Urban Development and Housing. 8 cities from the Kurunegala district have been selected for the 100 city development project. Out of the other 7 cities selected in the Kurunegala district, Kobegane and Amanpola have been selected on the proposal of the Highways Minister Johnston Fernando. Minister K. Rabakwala says that although some groups are making allegations that the government is unable to pay the debt installment, the government is facing it confidently. Therefore, the government has settled the scheduled debt of $1 billion international sovereign bond issue yesterday. He made the remarks participating at a cabinet decision discussion held today. Accordingly, the bank network of the country would be maintained without any obstruction. He said the government was able to achieve challenges of developing the country's economy. The honor should be given to the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister of replying to such criticism practically. The government is dedicating its utmost efforts to manage the economy of the country properly. It has also been identified that Colombo Port City should be developed as South Asia's service supply center. Approval has been given for the state and private sector joint investment in this regard. Many countries have come forward to invest in the project. Around $200 million investment are expected. It has been decided to provide solutions for the salary anomalies of teachers and principals by a subcommittee headed by the Prime Minister, Mr. G.L. Pieris, and several ministers. Mr. Ramesh Patharan said that the Finance Minister has agreed to provide solution to the first step at the next budget, considering present finance situation in the country. He said most of the students of rural areas have been suffering due to the trade union action of teachers and requested them to refrain from their trade union action and provide their service to the children. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The government of China has donated 1.6 million more doses of Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine to Sri Lanka to boost the national economic drive. A special cargo flight chartered by Sri Lankan Airlines UL865 touched down at the Bandar International Airport in Katunayake this morning, carrying the first batch of this donation. It is reported this is the largest amount of coronavirus vaccines the Chinese government has donated to Sri Lanka on a single occasion. The new development brings the total number of Sinopharm vaccine from China donated to Sri Lanka to 2.7 million. Avantgarde chairman Nissanka Yapa Senadipati and former chairman of Rakna Lanka, Major General retired Partha Fernando, have been released from the Avantgarde bribery case. The verdict was delivered when the case was taken up before Colombo High Court Judge Amar Ranaraja today. Attorney at law Adit Patharana, appearing on behalf of the defendants, point out High Court Judge had earlier rejected preliminary objection raised by the defendants that the case could not be continued. He further stated his clients had filed petition in the Court of Appeal against the decision of the Bribery Commission, informed them that the case would be withdrawn when the petition was called on July 15th. Subject to that condition, his client had withdrawn the revision petition before the Court of Appeal. Attorney at law Adit Patharana said. Speaking on behalf of the Bribery Commission, Assistant Director General Tushari Jaratna said she had been instructed by the Bribery Commission to withdraw the indictment while retaining the right to re-prosecute the accused. The Bribery Commission has lodged the case against the duo for allegedly soliciting and accepting a bribe of 35.5 million rupees to maintain a floating armory at the golf fort during the administration of the former government. That ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Another post-mortem will be conducted on the 16-year-old girl who died mysteriously at the residence of Richard Badudin. Accordingly, the body will be exhumed tomorrow. She was buried in the Diagam area and police security has been provided for the area. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On to Watchlight, the Chief Nurse Officer of the Colombo National Hospital, Pushpa Ramyani Soiza, told the SLBC that COVID patients' capacity in all hospitals are increasing due to the present spread of the COVID virus. The best solution to prevent the spread of the virus variant in the country is to adhere to health guidelines. That came to in Watchlight. On to world news. U.S. combat forces to leave Iraq by end of the year. Myanmar Election Commission nullifies 2020 polls. North and South Korea restore hotline after a year. President Joe Biden says U.S. forces will end their combat mission in Iraq by the end of this year, but will continue to train and advise the Iraqi military. Announcement came after Mr. Biden held talks with the Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi at the White House. Currently, 2,500 groups are in Iraq helping local forces counter what remains of the Islamic State group. Number of U.S. troops are likely to stay the same, but the move is being seen as an attempt to help Iraqi Prime Minister. Myanmar's Election Commission has cancelled the results of the election last November that was won by the National League for Democracy led by Aung San Suu Kyi before she was ousted by a military coup. The Commission said in a statement issued through the state-run TV yesterday that an inspection of the voter list and ballot papers had uncovered fraud. It said the polls were not held in line with the country's constitution and parties other than the NLD face restrictions due to its abuse of power. The Commission concluded that the election was neither free nor fair due to a conspiracy to assume state power. North and South Korea have restored a communication hotline that was cut off by Pyongyang last June. According to South Korea's presidential office, the leaders of both countries have agreed to rebuild trust and improve ties. The two leaders exchanged multiple personal letters since April. North Korea cut the hotline in June 2020 as relations soured after a failed summit between the two countries. Back to the headlines of the world news. U.S. combat forces will leave Iraq by the end of the year. Myanmar Election Commission nullifies 2020 polls. North and South Korea restore hotline after a year. That was World News.
Development News is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melba RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melba RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Ministry of Environment has implemented a systematic program to remove used pens and toothbrushes at schools network daily. Therefore, a large quantity of special bags will be given to schools that can include 3,000 pens and 500 toothbrushes at a time. Several private institutions have joined with the Ministry of Environment in this regard. Hillmas Holdings PLC company has contributed for this purpose. Relevant agreement was signed recently at the ministry. That was Development News.
Development News was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melba RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melba RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
On to sports news. The USA is leading at the medals table at the Olympic Games by winning 8 gold, 3 silver and 8 bronze. Overall medal they received is 19. Japan is in second place by winning 8 gold, 3 silver and 3 bronze. China is in third place by winning 7 gold, 5 silver and 3 bronze. Tom Dean claimed a stunning gold and Duncan Scott silver ensure a British 1-2 in the thrilling 200 meters freestyle at Tokyo Olympics. In a fast, closely fought final, Dean touched home just ahead of world number 1 Scott on his debut games. Japanese superstar Naomi Osaka suffered a surprise exit in her home Olympics as Czech Makata Vondrousova earned a straight-set win in Tokyo. Osaka, 23, has been one of the faces of the Games in the Japanese capital and had the honor of highlighting the Olympic cauldron in last week's opening ceremony. Matthew Abelsinger, with an entry timing of 50.31 seconds for men's 100 heats, will swim in lane 2 of Heat 4 today. That was Sports News.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Tea smallholders will bring in increased $200 million export revenue from tea for 2021 in comparison to last year despite controversy of chemical fertilizer. The chairman Tea Smallholdings Development Authority, Dr. Sashara Priyadarsan, has said that last year's smallholders segment contributed to around $25 million from the total export of tea, and in the first 6 months of 2021, the segment has contributed to around $325 million export revenue. Smallholders hope to achieve around $500 million export revenue for 2021. That was Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news. The central bank has issued treasury bills worth over 47,500 million rupees. It will expire in 91, 182 and 364 days. Relevant auction in this regard will be held tomorrow. Treasury bills could be purchased from primary dealers and licensed commercial banks. That is economic news.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasir, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the Sabri province and the Nuwareli and Kandy districts. Fairly heavy showers, about 50 minutes, can be expected in some places. Several spells of showers will occur in the western and northwestern provinces and the Galle and Mathura districts. That was the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasir, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Back to the headlines of the news. The president hopes more countries will be inspired by Sri Lanka's bold approach to organic agriculture. The Prime Minister to inaugurate the development of 100 cities program today from Hiripitiya town in the Kurunegala district. Media ministers say Sri Lanka paid off $1 billion bond debt before the deadline. A discussion will be held today regarding the salary anomalies of teachers. Another post-mortem will be conducted tomorrow on the girl who died mysteriously at Rishad Baduddin's residence. Another 1.6 million Sinopharm vaccines arrived in the country. In world news, U.S. combat forces to leave Iraq by the end of the year. That in the news.